Oof. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Uncle Rico's Storytime. I'm Nicholas Johns. That was Zeus. I think Chico's gonna stay with me. It is July 12th. During the day, getting my nuts hammered. So I decided to come home and have a cocaine smoothie. Started off pretty rough day. Even the simplest task was a struggle. Took me like 5 minutes just to get my goddamn key in the goddamn ignition. I have trouble finding the hole sometimes, but that's fucking ridiculous. Some asshole went off on some girl at Goodwill. I yelled at him. Guy in front of me gets up, sits down his 4 shirts, and he goes, "So what exactly is the return policy?" And she's like, bring it back, blah, 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 you get store credit, blah, blah, blah. And right away when she says store credit, the guy goes, "That's absolutely despicable. That's just insane. That's just insane. Blah, blah, blah." And then goes on to bitch about her. Bitch about it to her. And I sat there for a little bit, and then finally I go, "Dude, you're shopping at Goodwill. How much is this going to be? Like, a lot of places do store credit, and she doesn't make the rules, man." So he's like, "Why don't you mind your own business?" Like, well, you're yelling at a lady in front of me in public. You don't. So I figured I would head home, and regroup, maybe restart the day. What do we say when we get knocked down? We say, "Where's the marijuana?" So I came home to rip a couple of bong hits and drink an energy smoothie and continue some arguments online. I gotta get the hell off of online. But had a productive day yesterday with tech stuff. I'm tech challenged. So my producer, J-Dog, came over and hooked me up. Let me know that my auxiliary plug-in there was wrong. My lights were wrong. My audio was wrong. So I fixed up my little studio here and had a really difficult time lighting yesterday, and tried to rip out a podcast yesterday, which was probably a bad idea because it was terrible. It was a battle trying to get lighting in here, and I was just in a really foul mood, and I knew that it wasn't going to be good, and I was really excited to do the fantasy football stuff too, which sucks, but I watched it, and that's garbage. The lighting was way off, and I really didn't talk about a lot of stuff that I wanted to. So we're having a rebound session today. So, went into the gym. Alec Baldwin stuff is still going on. I don't know if I really explained where I stood on that whole thing, but I don't think common sense gun rules are. I don't think this case is going to come down to. I think it's basically going to come down to directions. Like, did the director tell him to point that gun that way? Did the director tell him to pull the trigger? If there are a bunch of witnesses where this dude was holding onto this gun, just just kind of nerding out because he's never around guns, then yeah, involuntary manslaughter, for sure. Possibly even murder. But I don't think that was the case. It sounds like he was handed the gun. It sounds like he was told what to do. It sounds like he was told to point directly at the camera, and it sounds like he was told to fire the weapon. So there was, and I did hear something about that the gun accidentally went off. So that kind of changes things. If they're saying that it accidentally went off, and then they have all these witnesses saying that his finger was on the trigger, then yes, involuntary manslaughter. But I don't know. We'll see. I think I finally have resolution on the Maple Bar bunker. I sent her a message. She received it. Posted something about, don't bring your negativity my way, or something like that. So I'm in the wrong. I mean, I wasn't interested in her. That ship has sailed. Judging from her posts, I don't think we're really a good match now anyways. But I did remember her name. I found her name in my old saved contacts. Lisa the Beautiful, I had it under there. So, but that I think is over. My last hookup I think is over. She was a young one also. Beautiful Indian girl. I'm partial to darker ethnic women. God, last time I did this, I got in trouble. I play hockey with this dude who came out. He's trans. No, he's just a cross-dresser. He's a dude, just likes to dress up feminine. He's got these, he tried explaining it to me, he's got these alter egos. Kind of sounds like he's got a little schizophrenia going on, but anyways, I kind of said, hey, I got this going on, you think it's okay if I show my true colors? I said, yeah, man, we're a fucking group. Guys might tease you or whatever, but it's a hockey locker room. It's constantly making fun of each other. So I just finished saying that, and he meets me at a bar the next week for the game, and he's wearing like all this pink stuff, and he's wearing a pink ball cap that's all, sparkly. It says bitch on it, and he's just kind of letting himself out. And we get to the locker room early, and I'm sitting in there with this other dude, and this other guy talking, and the dude who's dressed up is gone, and then I'm talking to the other guy about, I don't know how we got going on chicks or whatever, and the cross-dresser walks into the locker room as I'm saying, oh yeah, blacks, Indians, Jews, so he fucking does the Homer Simpson where he like back out through the door and takes off. And he comes back in and he goes, hey, what was that I walked in on? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, oh, you were just kind of listening different minority groups. And I was like, oh, dude, I was just saying we were talking about chick preferences. And I was like, yeah, I just like darker. I don't like redheads. I don't like, I only like brown eyes. It's weird. I have a type. He's like, oh my God. He's like, Jesus, I thought I had walked into like a KKK thing, and I thought you told me that it was okay to, come cross-dresser because you're going to make fun of me. I was like, no, dude, it's all good. So, but, this girl that I met was really young, but we had met through the old chat lines, and she was always kind of living out this fantasy thing. But then when we would meet in person, she was very, very timid and reserved sexually. So I was when we were in bed, I was really treating her with like kid gloves because I wanted to be respectful. I didn't want to push anything. I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. And she wasn't. She was very not repressed, but she hadn't been out there sexually. She is Indian, but I thought she's just absolutely beautiful because of my type. But I probably don't think she's like crazy popular with the guys. They're not beating down her door. They should be, but they're not. So we strike up a conversation. We'd been talking for a while, and we're gonna meet, didn't. Gonna meet, didn't. We finally ended up hooking up years and years later, and for a while she was coming over after her job, and we'd hang out. And then there was a thing where she was like, "Tell me about the time you killed a guy." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Tell me about the time you killed the guy." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "You said you killed a guy once." And I was like, "Have I killed?" No. I was like, "I was in the Navy, but there was no, it wasn't active service, there wasn't a war or anything." And she's like, "Oh, you told me," and she kind of like was deflated. And she was like, "Oh, you told me you killed a guy." And I was like, maybe it was when we were in the like fantasy thing. Like she would get crazy. She would love being like the fantasy stuff with the texting and everything. But then in real life, she wasn't like that way at all. So I was like, but no, I'd never killed. Maybe I was drunk and like cocking off, telling, like maybe I was about to tell a story and mess with you and then didn't and forgot or something. But no, I never killed anybody. And fucking ghosted. Boom. She took off about 10 minutes later. This was after we had had sex. So her leaving quick wasn't that strange. She'd even told me like, she's like, "I just want you, I just want to release some frustration." I was like, perfect. So her leaving early wasn't weird, but then no response. I was like, "Hey babe, thanks. Like, it's still a little weird. I feel like this will get a lot better when we are more comfortable with each other." Didn't get a response. And then like hit her up a week later, like, "Hey babe, what's up? It's Monday. Come on over." Didn't get a response. Like boom, boom, boom. Sending her a bunch of stuff. Never got responses. So that's over also. Yay! And I got a match. 2 matches in 1 week. This one wanted me to join a gambling group. I don't know what the hell they want. So, yeah. Absolutely 0 prospects, which is par for the course here for me. I just took out, jumped out of a online dating group that I was in, a singles group specific to area. They do events and stuff, which is awesome. But one of this girl posts a video of a dude doing both characters, and he's playing like the dumb stereotypical guy, and then the really smart therapist friend, and they're doing, it's some skit where it's just kind of bashing dudes, or making fun of dudes, or at the very least trying to give dudes coaching tips on how to act. But it was like this dude, he was super effeminate, and even when he was playing the stereotypical dumb dude, he did really come off a bit like a simp. And the skit was like, yeah, chicks are just so unreasonable nowadays. And then they'd cut to the therapist dude, and the therapist dude was like, "Oh, let's explore that then. How are they unreasonable?" And he's like, "Oh, da 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 da." And then they go back to the other guy, and he's like, "Oh, so a spouse only wants a caring partner. that can talk about their feelings. And then they go to the dumb guy and he's like, all I want is food, you know. And it was like that, back and forth. So, and this chick posted it on a singles dating app. And I'm like, come on, you know, this is, if you want to flip wording around, this is grooming. So I get on there and I'm like, this dude, this actor, because you could tell that the guy is making the content for his wife. You know, the wife is, you know, whatever, is the name of the production company. Hot, Sassy Broad Productions, you know. So I said, you can tell this actor gets beat by his wife. and then, you know, of course, all the chicks were like, toxic. And I was like, yeah, it really is a toxic post. She should have kept this on her private Facebook, you know, stuff like that. But this one girl is like, yeah, I follow him. He was a horrible husband. He cheated on her. He would never, you know, blah, 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 blah. So my response to that was, and she was like, yeah, he went through therapy and now he's great. And he likes to tell guys how to be better. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad he went through therapy to fix his issues, but did he get his balls chopped off when he got a lobotomy also? And so that just opened up a hornet's nest. The ladies came at me. And so I was like, okay, what are the rules here now that we have to follow? We have to greet you every morning. We have to say goodnight every night. And this is before we even go out on a first date. I can't compliment right now. I can't say, honey, babe, gorgeous, beautiful, da-da-da-da-da. Like, I listed all these kind of crazy things. And then the lady that posted it went on and actually, instead of like, this I found amusing. Instead of being like, no, we're not all like that. She actually went through the posts of craziness, the examples of craziness that I used. She went back and defended each one, you know. And she's like, we don't like it when you compliment right away because it doesn't seem genuine. You know, we appreciate greetings and knowing that you're thinking about us at night. Is that so wrong? Like all this weird shit. So I kept going at her with that. She started throwing insults personally directed at me, you know, like, you know, it's awesome when guys out themselves. Like, how many red flags is this guy throwing up? You know, all this and that. And I'm like, don't worry, you're way safe. I looked at your profile pic, you know. So that brought the moderator down on me because I went too far. So I was like, fuck it, peace out. I'm fucking gone. But that's the kind of shit that is commonplace now, you know, in these groups. Guys, work on this. Guys, work on this. I say something like, you know, women need to wear less makeup, and it just starts a holy war. Not in the same group, it was a different group. This moderator on there said, there was a bunch of stuff about chicks about running down dudes, you know, and some of the guys started sticking up for themselves, being like, this sucks, like, fuck off, da-da-da-da-da. So the moderator got on there, made her own post, and she goes, oh, we've heard enough from the ladies. Guys, you're on a date with a girl. What is a deal breaker? So she gave a specific situation. You're on a date, right? And the girls start jumping in there and signing off on it. Oh, if a guy's too short, I'm 5'8", and I need my guy to be over me. You know, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, if a guy doesn't hold the door open for me, blah, 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 blah. You know, oh, I like it when a guy orders my food. You know, oh my God, I would never let a guy order my food, blah, 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 blah. That's an insult, huge deal breaker, blah, blah, blah. Like all this different stuff, all this petty stuff. One of the girls was like, I need to know we're stable, you know. If my man doesn't have a good job and And what do they call it? Not motivation, but if my guy isn't fired up about his job, then it's just it's a turn off. All this different stuff. And the guys were just like, every once in a while the guys were like, if she's on the phone all the time, if she's rude. Yeah, if she's rude to the waitress, I can't deal with it. If she ignores me, yeah, if she's rude, if she's on the phone. It was pretty much those two things. Every once in a while somebody would be like, if she doesn't offer to pay. I want to pay, but at least she can offer. And then each one of those was like chicks arguing about it. Like a guy would be like, for each one that said on the phone, the girls would get on there and be like, okay, if we know right away it's not a match, like we want to see what's going on in our personal life. We're checking to see what's going on, da 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 da. If she ignores me, the girls would get on there and comment and be like, well, if it's not clicking, why fake it? And I was just amazed at how one-sided everything has become. Like, all of this empowerment has actually changed into this, like, nitpicky, perfect, just nonsense. And the funny thing is that women think they want this picture-perfect guy, but I'll tell you what, if after about a month with a simp, and you're gonna be like, fuck, this sucks. Some stranger talks bad to you on the street when you're on a date and the guy can't stick up for you. That sucks. You get a flat tire and your dude can't change it. That sucks. I'm not saying that you need to go with the guy that you picture as the bad guy, but right now women have this picture of like a manly man being a bad guy. He doesn't talk about his feelings. He ignores me. He cheats on me. All this stuff, like whatever hang-ups you have in your past are over, Guys are very forgiving about stuff. We look past a lot of stuff. We look past all of your idiosyncrasies and stuff. We can't criticize your behavior, personality at all. We're told that we need to do this and do that and blah, blah, blah. You want your guy to go to the flea markets and you want him to go scrapbooking with you. You change your guy into this limp-wristed best friend, and then you're not attracted to him anymore, and you cheat on him with your gardener, because you are still attracted to that manly persona, that gritty, dirty, take care of you, be your protector persona. And the amazing thing is out of all the things that you should be changing, women probably are obsessed about the biggest things that should be changed. Your attention to, well, let's call it fashion, because we'll call it fashion right away. But under fashion is this obsession for attention, this fake, I want to look as beautiful as me and will do crazy shit to my face, the Botox and the sticking metal in your face and the fake eyelashes and the alien claws. The chick gets near my junk with those frickin' claws and I'm like, oh God, Jesus Christ, guys don't find that attractive. We deal with it. We look past that and we go, yeah, she's pretty hot underneath all of that. There are some simps that I gotta stop. There's some dudes out there that like the eye color change because it's, cool and freaky and stuff. Not me. Looks like an alien. Makes you look like an alien or a zombie. I like those brown eyes. Beautiful. Natural. When I was in high school, I dated this girl. She was gorgeous. She was a homecoming queen. She's older than me. I got a job at McDonald's for her. It was my first... No, was it my first job? No, it wasn't, because I was driving by that time. I was 16. Got a job at McDonald's because she worked at McDonald's. And I was there a week and got her number and peaced out. I quit. As soon as I got her number, I was like, I quit! So, but we went out, and it was during... I'm going to date myself here, but it was during the Sonics Championship when they were in the finals. And lost. I was a big Sonics fan. So while we were like making out and stuff, I was like, I gotta get home to watch this game. So we finished making up. I run home, and I look in the car, and I have cover up like caked into my lips. It was so gross. And I saw her. She puts on a mask of makeup, and I saw her. After we had graduated high school, she had just left the gym, so she didn't have any makeup on at all. And her complexion was really... I figured she was probably covering up some acne or something like that, but she was very, very, soft skin. She looked gorgeous. It was blotchy, but I assume that's because, her skin's not getting any air. But I don't know if that scarred me or whatever, but... The large majority of guys don't like all of that shit. And it's an addiction. It's a competition among women. And it's not healthy to be obsessed. I think most women, the way that they are perceived or looked at comes into play when they're thinking about basically every decision about their private life. What do you wear? What do you bring? You put yourself in just horribly uncomfortable. I've seen some of these girls walking around with their shoes and pulling down their skirts and then talking with their eyelashes. They're like, the girls in the gym are constantly pulling out the wedgie out of their ass after they do all their thrusts. All the girls do the thrusts. They get into the gym and they just line up, wait, and hurry up, I gotta do my thrusts in my tight sports bra and butt-hugging, almost panties. But don't look at me. It's an enigma. It's a contradiction. I want attention, but don't stare at me. Gonna dress slutty, but don't sexualize me, Equality, but I'm a victim. So many girls I get in, if we get into online arguments, they'll attack me. Whenever you fat, ugly, balding, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, whoa, all right, somebody with Down syndrome shouldn't be making fun of somebody's looks, something like that, something petty, something mean like that. And then it inevitably comes back to, listen to yourself, listen to how you talk to a woman, you incel. And it's like, well, no, wait, we're equals. If you're going to engage me and get into an argument, why can't I argue back at you? If we're going to insult each other, we're insulting each other. This is fair game. This is not, I get to run around throwing daggers all the time, but everybody has to use kid gloves with me. Fashion, shopping is another addiction. Spending money. When was the last time, ladies, that you went to a gun show with your significant other? A car show? When was the last time you asked him what the score was in his fantasy game? Ask him what his fantasy team name is. Mine is currently the Lamboner. It used to be Dirty Sanchez. Then I changed it to the Rusty Trombone. And then I stole this name from a good buddy of mine, Andy, who's the great puppet maker in Wisconsin. The Lamboner has been my fantasy name now for a long time. So, but yeah, it seems a little one-sided lately, which sucks. So, Jesus, these dogs need a bath. And then what happens is guys are walking on eggshells. I used to have Mad Game when I was younger, and now I got nothing. Recently, my buddy Ryan, who I skate with, totally set this girl up on a platter for me. I was outside smoking, and she comes out, good-looking, smallish, petite, little white girl. She had a big nose. I was like, oh, hi. And my buddy Ryan and I were out there smoking, and he goes, hey there, pretty thin, why don't you come on over and smoke with us? You don't have to be alone over there. And Ryan is super smooth. He's this good-looking black kid. He does this thing with his eyes. It reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where, what was that? Where he's like, I'm the Wiz. But they're like, they get transfixed with his eyes. Ryan does this thing. Ooh, babies. Oh, I'm gonna fucking smush your face. You gotta stop being so cute. Ryan does this thing where he's like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, what are you? Are you making a pass at me, you son of a bitch? I want to cuddle with you for some reason. I don't know why. So Ryan is super smooth, but he's like, hey, why don't you come on over here and time with us? Da, 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 da. He like asked her one question and then peaced out. And he was like setting her up for me because we had just finished talking about how I have zero game anymore. How I used to be a player, how I don't have anything. Like I've gone past the point of where I deserve it now. Just finished having that conversation when he, invites this girl over and he pieces out. And so we start talking very quickly. She's like, da-da-da-da-da. I tell her about the land that I just bought. And she's like, oh my God, I'm looking at this land too. And it's, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, here. And she comes over and she starts showing me pictures. She comes up, stands right next to me. She's touching me, leaning into me, giving me all sorts of signs. She's going through her phone. She's telling me like, oh yeah, I'm hoping my dad can help me buy this land. So she's single. And she her leg rubs my leg, So now arm on arm, leg on leg. I'm like, yes. She's flipping through this phone. But the whole time that she's doing it, I'm thinking, I'm absolutely freaking out. I'm like, okay, she's doing, what do I say? Do I say this? If I come on to her, I don't want to be offended. Do I say, hey, I don't mean to offend you when I come on to her? But oh my God, she just touched my arm. She's definitely into me. This is like the stereotypical thing when she touches your arm. She's still looking through her phone. Oh my God, it's so silence. Fucking say something, dude. We're just sitting here in silence. She's going to think you're a fucking idiot. She just touched your leg, dude. She definitely loves you. And finally I was like, hey, okay, I'm heading inside. We'll see you in there. It was really great talking with you. And then I fucking bounced from the bar like 10 minutes later because I was so, I went through this weird anxiety thing where I'm like, fuck, I don't want to go back out there and talk to her. That was unpleasant. I couldn't wait to get her away from her. So, I don't know. It's half being taken out of my game and not being able to be myself around women. And then it's half having my goddamn mojo stolen from me. And I remember that exact moment. That's a story for another time. Do we have time? Why am I asking if we have time? Like this is a fucking talk show. Do we have time for one more, Ed? We do. Yeah, I'll keep it short. Great. So I was in North Dakota. And I was bartending at the Shitty Bars. It was a very small hometown, very small town, Valley City, North Dakota, meth capital of the world. And I had seen this little tiny blonde around town. And this couple came in to this bar, and they started talking to me, and they started describing this little tiny blonde, and I'm like, damn. I was like, yeah, I've seen her. She doesn't really give me the time of day, though. And they're like, oh, da-da-da. So they call this girl up and pressure her to come out and drink. And we're all kind of talking, we're all kind of hanging out and drinking, and I can kind of tell that she's not really vibing. We're not vibing, you know? She's kind of going through the motions. But then she still invites me over to her house. So we get over to her house, and we can't go inside because she has a kid. And so we hung out on her screen porch outside, and she immediately was just like, starts undressing and making out, and so we did the deal. And I remember she was like chewing gum. Like when I say going through the motions, she was going through the motions all night long. Not all night long, but all night long that we were hanging out. I'm not saying that I like rocked her world anything. If anything, I think I could tell, like, as we were doing this, I could tell that she wasn't into me at all. And when I left, I remember thinking, I'm never going to hear from this girl again, you know? And I was like, and then my male bravado was like, well, at least I nailed her, you know? But then I was like, fuck, she just used me for sex. And then I was like, I don't even think she used me for sex. She just did that to get her friends off her back, maybe? But leaving there, I was like, oh, man. And then I realized that this feeling that I had given to so many countless girls before, which really floored me. And that was kind of when, whoop, I went from the guy who played petty games of like not remembering your name and ignoring you to get you interested in me, to being the, did I say something wrong? Are you okay? Should I do something better? Is that okay? Or should I do something, you know? And girls don't like that. Guys don't like that. You always like what you cannot have. If it's that easy, then you don't want it. And it's always been that way. If you are interested in a girl or a guy, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, I've had a crush on you forever, you know, and they start texting and calling you all the time, you go, yeah, I don't know if, maybe not. You know, I mean, they're obviously, these are just, you know, generalizations, but you can definitely comment and tell me I met my boyfriend and we immediately fell in love. You know, I'm just kind of speaking for the single bastards that have no hope out there. Me. So that's when I lost my mojo. Pretty much resigned myself to being alone. Alone with my two puppies. I walked alone, I walked alone. I walked alone, I walked alone. Blink 182 or Green Day. I walked alone, I walk alone. Yeah. So, gonna be alone. It happens. One really horrible girl. What else has happened today? Yeah. Oh, saw those stupid, oh my God. The aid pier. Okay, hold on a second. So maybe 6 months ago? Okay, so 6 months ago or so, whenever the Israel conflict started, we approved this huge aid package to send over there. And then, in addition to that aid package, we decided to build it was like $320 million aid pier because of where they were situated, and the aid contingency was that we wouldn't put boots on the ground, meaning our soldiers and citizens would not be landing. Okay, so this was a problem, so we decided to build this like $320 million aid pier. A pier. We basically agreed to build a port for this country. And then a little while into it, it had construction problems. So the White House held a press conference, and they were like, yeah, the aid pier ran into some problems. It's going to cost like $120 million to fix it. But we just realized that it didn't cost $320 million to build it originally. It only cost like $280 million. So this $120 million of repairs is still going to be, we're still going to be under what we thought it would be. What the fuck? Is anybody buying that? When is the last time a government project came in under budget? So when you do research for this and you find out what was the reason the White House gave for this project coming in under budget, and why didn't you announce it before? They never, they didn't explain why they announced it before. We just kept that information hidden, kept that in our pocket in case something were to happen. Then we're like, oh yeah, it didn't cost that much. So the reason why it came in under budget was the cost of trucks and construction items, was what they said. So it came in way under budget. So they did these repairs, $120 million in repairs. And then just last week, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, damage beyond repair, right? We built this pier and didn't take into consideration the stronger winds in that area. So this pier is wrecked beyond repair. They originally, and I had written down notes of what they thought it was going to do. They wanted to give out aid, so they built this thing for $320 million, and they wanted to give out 90 days of aid. And they figured there would be about 150 trucks a day for 90 days, okay? Because of all these problems, they only offloaded 40 trucks. And a lot of those were looted. Because once it gets on the ground, the soldiers are busy fighting a conflict instead of protecting this aid. So that we have scrapped that problem, that project. It's only cost us, they estimated that it was going to be, the repairs when they were trying to fix it were going to be about $15 million a day, because they can't get anybody on the other side on the ground to help them. So we have to bring over everything. So who knows what the final tabulation is on that, but I would figure to say that little project cost us $350 million and we didn't see anything from it. Nothing happened from it. So that could be considered a waste. unless those fact checkers get their hands on it. Fucking Pier. So much waste. Pulled up one of those stupid housewife reactions. She did she was lip syncing to one of my favorite comedians, Jim Gaffigan. So she got a hat on and just basically pretends to do the skit that Jim Gaffigan did. I would much prefer to watch Jim Gaffigan. I don't know why these reaction videos are popular. I don't know why they show the split screen thing where the funny thing is happening over here and then there's a dude watching it over here. It doesn't make sense to me. When I was a big brother, I was a big brother, little brother. And my little, when he was young, we would go to Denny's. He liked Denny's. He was a portly son of a bitch. And we'd go to Denny's and he goes, pulls out a cell phone. He goes, "Do you want to see the coolest thing in the world?" And I go, "Can we be more specific? Is this like the coolest thing ever? Or is this the coolest thing in the world right now? Like actively, like this is the coolest thing out there right now." He goes, "This is the coolest thing ever." And I go, "So out of all the videos of cool stuff happening, this is the coolest video ever?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Yeah, I want to see that." And he pulls it up, and it's a video of a dude watching a reaction video of a guy watching a girl play a video game. So a dude making fun of a dude that was watching a girl play a video game. And I go, "Brother, back in my day, we used to just play the video game ourselves. I don't get it." This was a kid that was obsessed with YouTube. And while I was a big brother, I was doing some acting. And so you would have to send your audition online. So you'd have to record after I fired my agent, because you don't need agents. If you're small time, you don't need agents. I was recording my own audition and sending it in for this guy, and I had my little Jay do the audition. It was a hockey thing, so I put my hockey stuff on when I did the audition, and then I had Jay do it, and I recorded that, and I put it on YouTube, and I thought he would get a kick out of being on YouTube. So I pick him up, we go to Denny's, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, "Hey man, guess what, dude? You're a YouTuber." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "I put your audition on YouTube." And he's like, "What?" And I go, "Yeah man, you are now officially a YouTuber." And he goes, "No way, how many likes do I have?" And I go, "Buddy, you don't have any likes, because me and you are the only ones that know it. You know what I mean? Know about it." I just saw him deflate. I just saw him absolutely deflate. Boom. And nothing, I couldn't talk him out of it. I couldn't explain anything to him. All he knew is that he put a thing out online and nobody liked it. And I saw him it just absolutely crushed. Good kid. He was really, his mom had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids with 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe four different guys. But he never had a male role model around at all. This last guy that she had 2 kids with, or 3 kids with now, I think, was in jail for a while. So she had the 2 kids, he was in jail, got out, she got pregnant again. So he was there to stick around and would always pick on Jay, because it was Jay and then the other 3 boys underneath him that were his. He would pick on Jay a lot, to the point where the other boys would tell, like, Grandma and stuff and ants that he was picking on Jay. So that dirtbag luckily stayed here, and Jay and his mom moved to Ohio, which is awesome. But he never had male role models around at all. So he would tell me stuff like, he told me that him and his neighborhood have a gang, and I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. But they're not a gang that messes people up. They're just a gang that have each other's back. And I was like, oh, that sounds really cool then. All right, cool. What's the name of your gang? And he goes, the Foo-Foo Crew. And I go, what? And he goes, the Foo-Foo Crew. And I go, the Foo-Foo Crew? And he goes, yeah. And I go, dude, I don't know if that means what you think it means. And he goes, oh, it just sounds cool. And I go, well, foo-foo means like kind of girly, weak. And he goes, no, it doesn't. And I go, yeah, it does. And he goes, no, it doesn't. And he pulls up his phone and he's like, do. And he's like, so I'm just raining bad news on this poor guy. We would sit in my place and watch TV. I would show him like guy movies and like Blade and John Wick and Terminator and Predator and stuff like that. And he would get up and he'd go in my bathroom forever. And the longest time I figured he was pooping. And I would let him go in there for a while, because I wanted him to be comfortable. And then once he was comfortable, I started making fun of him, because that's what guys do. You gotta, ring the bell a little bit. So he comes out of the bathroom one time, and I'm like, I go, did you light a match? And he goes, what? And I was like, dude, you gotta start lighting a match in there, man. You're spending more time in the toilet than you are out here with me. And so the next time he's hanging out with me, he goes in the bathroom again, and I listen. And he's not going to the bathroom, he's going through my shit. He will turn the water on and play with my electric razor and stuff like that. So I brought him into the bathroom, kind of showed him how I shave and trim up my beard and stuff like that. And one time we were hanging out, I met my buddy. My buddy has 3 kids, and they're like pro jocks, super, super good athletically. And so 2 of the boys or one of the kids was in like a sectional or something like that, a playoff game. So me and Jay went to this game, and Jay is, when I was hanging out with him, originally started hanging out with him, I think like 5th, 6th grade, he's a big kid. He's a big, burly, chubby black kid. So we were hanging out in this, suburban baseball complex, primarily white. So would these kids start playing a pickup game on another baseball field that nobody was playing on? And so this kid comes over and asks if Jay can play. And I said, sure. And then I pulled the kid aside and go, hey man, he's not, an athlete. So just explain to him what's going on, da-da-da-da-da. Take it easy on him. He goes, yeah, cool, no problem. I'll keep my eye out on him. And so they stick him at third base. So my guy's at third base, and he's playing defense at third base. And he's like, they let him borrow a glove, So he's got his glove there. And he's like doing this thing that I taught him, He's got his legs bent. And I'm watching, and I'm like, oh my God, they're going to hit it to him right away. Da-da-da-da-da. So sure enough, slow dribbler right to him at third base. And I'm like, okay, he can field this. And he charges the ball, and I'm like, yes. And as soon as he gets to the ball, he does a pirouette around it. And he runs home. And when he steps on the plate, he's like, yeah, what's up? Oh, one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. That's when I know I was like, all right, you got to get a little bit more hands-on with him, though. So, but he was once he got older. He's he should be turning 16 soon. But once he reached, once he got to be 15, he didn't want to hang out anymore. So he kind of only hits me up if he's in trouble, which is fine. So, but he hit me up. We were talking about recently, and we were talking about girls. He was dating a girl. We were talking about, da 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 da. I was like, make sure, you respect her. You realize that, this means something different to, fooling around and stuff like that means something different to her than it does to you. And remember also always protection. And he goes, of course. He texted me back. He said, of course. And I said, good man. And he responded with, thanks to you, which was kind of cool to get that appreciation. So I should maybe look into doing that again, maybe. So, but I don't know why I started talking about that. Auditions? No. Yeah. Nope. Who knows? We'll never know. But now that I have begun crying, I think it's time to say goodbye. Peace out.